Since we're doing remastered Battle Oracle content on the channel, let's go through a few spells that I've found great use for in my own Battle Oracle play. Now these first two spells can be used in combination with each other, but because they're both rank 2 spells, it can be a little resource consuming until rank 2 slots become a little less important. And they both heighten well, and that somewhat applies to their higher rank versions as well. The first of these two spells is Blood Vendetta, a rank 2 reaction spell triggered by a creature dealing slashing, piercing, or persistent bleed damage to you, and that creature has to make a will saving throw. On a failed saving throw, they take 2d6 persistent bleed damage, and although it's a relatively inconsequential thing, they also gain weakness 1 to piercing and slashing damage. On a critical failure, they take double the persistent bleed damage, and even on a success, they take half the persistent bleed damage, which is important for its combo use with the next spell. But on its own right, if you're a melee Battle Oracle, you're going to be taking piercing or slashing damage somewhat frequently, so the ability to lash out with some persistent damage that recurs on the ending of their turn that they are currently doing and could persist throughout the battle is pretty useful in its own right. And every 2 times you heighten this, as in like at rank 4 and then at rank 6, the persistent bleed damage increases by 2d6, and remember, on a crit failure, the persistent is doubled. So just heighten this once. If they crit fail, that's 8d6 worth of persistent bleed damage. Even this base amount of damage recurring is pretty good considering it takes your reaction, not any of your actions. And if it persists beyond the end of this first turn, which it's very likely to, you get to combo it with the next spell, Horrifying Blood Loss. This is an uncommon spell from an adventure path, so your access to it may vary, but it's essentially very similar to the rank 1 spell Fear, but it only costs 1 action, with the additional drawback of requiring the target to be bleeding, which Blood Vendetta applies. Additional differences between it and Fear is the fail version that applies Frightened 2 also keeps them from lowering their Frightened value below Frightened 1 as long as they're still bleeding. And in the Heightened 4 version, all of the targets affected by this can't reduce their Frightened value below 1 while the original bleeding target is still bleeding. This is a great action economy booster you can set up yourself with Blood Vendetta, debuffing 1 or more opponents with 1 action, and then that sets up your remaining 2 actions for increased accuracy. If you're hasted, you can then cast a 2-action spell and still strike.